Hi, everybody. It's J. Michael Collins here, and I'm jumping in for VOPlanet today to talk to you guys about what the international English or transatlantic English, or sometimes they say mid Atlantic English read actually is. And this is something that creates a lot of debate or uncertainty in the voiceover industry because sometimes people don't really know what it is that a client's after when they talk about this particular style. And so I want to talk to you today about what that is and try and clear up some of the misperceptions out there. So, we hear that different terminology being used, and I'm not really a big fan of the phrase mid-Atlantic because mid-Atlantic, I grew up in the mid-Atlantic in the United States. That's Washington, D.C., that's Maryland, that's Delaware, that's Virginia, maybe into Pennsylvania. When we talk about the mid-Atlantic English in the United States, we're talking about the accent you hear me speaking with now, which is a very neutral Northeastern U.S. accent. But mid Atlantic is sometimes used to talk about something else, which we also call transatlantic, neutral English, sometimes international English. And that means an accent that is very hard to define regionally. You can't necessarily say it's American. You can't necessarily say it's British. You can't say it's Australian. It might have some elements of all of those and then a little bit of Nordic or European or Eastern European or German or something else thrown in that you just can't quite put your finger on. And it's an interesting thing because it's not easy to define, which is why it creates so much uncertainty in the business. International English could simply be somebody who's a native speaker from India who speaks English in a mother tongue capacity but has a bit of an Indian accent. But that's an international English sound. Same thing if it's somebody from Scandinavia, or it could be someone who maybe grew up in England, but then moved to Europe, and now they've sort of adopted a little bit of a German feel or a French feel or whatever it may be. There's no perfect definition of this other than to say it's not something that's easily defined. It doesn't sound like American. It doesn't sound British. It doesn't sound Australian. So I'm going to give you a little demonstration of what I do, and I'm not going to lie to you. This is something that is just completely made up. This has no basis in reality. This is an affected accent that I put on, and it maybe even shifts sometimes, depending on what day of the week it is. But I get hired with this with some frequency from clients who are looking for neutral English because what I'm trying to do with this read is I'm trying to make them guess where I'm from and hopefully doing a good enough job that they can't necessarily automatically say, oh, he's American. So let's see what I do on just a short snippet of script, give you an idea of what my transatlantic or neutral English or international English read sounds like. Not so long ago, the healthcare representative's role was fairly clear cut, involving responsibilities such as making sales calls to present product information to clinicians and healthcare staff. Compensation and incentives were based generally on quantitative measures, such as market share and dollar volume sales. However, as the market has changed, tasks and see, and I pick up, I stumble just like everybody else. Tasks and responsibilities have become less defined and more difficult to measure. Representatives can no longer rely solely on conventional sales methods, and some companies are exploring ways to compensate representatives based, in part, on qualitative measures such as understanding of physician and patient needs. So that's my international English. What is it? I don't know. I think it has maybe a little bit of a basis in a British accent. You probably hear some American in there too. I don't think I got my Aussie on there. But there's a mix, and it's meant to be indefinable. And I think some people confuse it sometimes because you get people saying transatlantico. Doesn't that mean that old Cary Grant, Hepburn thing where everybody talked like this and said Muffy a lot? That's not really what we're talking about here. If you're looking for an old newsreel sound, maybe, but these days that's more of a caricature and more of a cliche. So when they talk about neutral English, transatlantic English, international English, it's a melange, it's a mix, it's something that is undefinable. And if you give them your version of that, you'll probably do all right. So, helping out for VO Planet today, I'm J. Michael Collins. Hope you found that helpful. Take care.